Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Wednesday to you all. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. Today, we're going to be going over Netflix earnings, going over the chart, giving the bull and the bear case scenario, kind of see where the chart is telling us the company wants to go, even after earnings. Now, getting into the earnings, it was a kind of mixed bag. You really saw a miss on the reported revenue by about $0.1 billion, so not a huge miss. The EPS was a little bit higher than what was expected. However, with Netflix being a growth company, there was a couple things that were brought up in the earnings call that I don't know exactly how it's going to react, and I don't know how investors are going to react to it. So one of those things was that Netflix was announcing share buyback. That's great, right? You know, share price, you're not diluting the shares over a long period of time. However, Netflix is a growth company. These companies are not necessarily the most profitable things, but they basically debt churn or profit churn to grow and expand even further and further, basically creating bigger and bigger companies. And that's what people are paying for. They're paying for the asset that's being generated out of the company and the growth. Now, why do you say share buybacks are bad? Well, first of all, normal growth companies don't do share buybacks. That's more for value companies. So Netflix is straddling that line of having a identity crisis. And if we dive into the intraday and go to the extended hours trading, you can see that Netflix basically came up after the earnings call and is where it closed and kind of trading up and down. So they didn't necessarily give you good news, they didn't necessarily give you bad news. These are the earnings that I would say I like the most because it's a very fascinating opportunity to possibly buy the stock because you've shaken out all the FOMO, you've shaken out all the craziness, all the dip buyers, all the, everyone's shaken out. There's no one left to shake out, and the company is actually going to go in a solid straight direction versus trying to do this kangaroo that sometimes companies do. So without further ado, before I digress too much, let's see what Netflix could do in the coming days. So let's go through our standard analysis. You have a bullish cross on the moving average. Your 50 is below now the 200 daily. So definitely a bullish momentum. Short-term price is moving up, and now long-term price is starting to move up. So Netflix is basically creating lower lows here. However, you did have a lower high. So we're in this phase of a consolidation. So where could we be going from here? Well, if we zoom out on the chart real quick, you could see that Netflix had these big two price action areas here and here. So you're stuck in this kangaroo. You're beating into the supply zone here that's forming from the 331 level, which we are now, all the way up to the 394 level. So it's going to be a little bit of a push to get back up to this level that we were previously. However, this is not your first time touching it. So there is confidence that you could possibly come up, probably get rejected off the 200 weekly, and then form some more price structure to push up. You are consolidated around the 50 daily moving average, and you really haven't broken it. You've tested 1, 2, 3 times. Even today after earnings, you basically tested it for a fourth time. So if Netflix is going to go higher, we need to go higher now. Like, boomtown, baby, time to go. Classic bull flag forming on the daily, and we could break out. If you're just looking at it from the perspective of not trying to have the chart paint your idea of the stock, then that's what I've been struggling the most recently. Like, for example, I've been very bearish on the market. I'm still very bearish on the market, but the charts are telling me the market's going higher. I think S&P and NASDAQ have a massive potential to squeeze higher, and the charts are basically screaming at me, saying MACD's curling up, RSI is right at 50, and we could be going higher. And I'm seeing evidence that the bulls have the potential and are wearing down the bears, but it's, the hardest thing in trading is the 6 inches between your left ear and your right ear. So, managing that and trying to trade emotionless is one of the hardest things in trading. And if you struggle with that, you're not alone. So Netflix, going back to, we're consolidating around a key moving average. We could push up higher. We have the bull flag, you have the capability push up higher, consolidation of volume. You did have the big volume push on Netflix that basically created nothing burger. So, just shaked out everybody. And now we could break up to the upside. You failed to break down, fake out everyone to the downside. Now you could push up, especially if Netflix gets above this swing point here of 350, then I definitely could see higher prices for Netflix, especially this could be a possible A to B pattern, B to C here, that completes around the 391, or a smaller A to B pattern that completes at the 388. So 388, 390 is where I'd be targeting Netflix. definitely for a more growth opportunity as it pushes up there over the course of the next couple days or weeks. And if we jump over to the weekly, we can just simply look that we made a lower weekly low, however, failed to hold it. And now we are going to try to challenge for our last week's close, which was, or open, I should say, the 335.15 level. Once we pivot above that 335.15, then I would expect more bullish prices ahead for Netflix, and we definitely have the capability in the next couple days to do that. So if this plays out to the upside, we definitely could be going to that 388, 390 level. Definitely be looking at that for a price target, and I'm certain we would have a zone sitting in this 370 level, so we're definitely gonna have to be on the lookout for that. And with that, guys, we're gonna jump over to Lux Algo just to see what it's telling us. So this is where I use this algorithm. Link down in the description below. You guys can take a look at it. I highly recommend it. Is a little on the pricey side, however, it has improved my trading significantly. And even if you are swing trading it, you can use the daily, monthly, weekly timeframes to really give you an accurate description of what the stock is going to do. So basically, you are sitting right at this trend at the 332.27 mark, and you're sitting right at that price right now. However, MACD is diverged from one another, so you could see more downside potential. However, we could stop going down. We're basically forming lower lows in this area, and essentially we could start curling the MACD. RSI is above the 50 line, so there's more bullish price appreciation, and we have the momentum to the upside. You have the squeeze potential there, so everything is setting up for the bullish case here. If we jump over to the weekly, we definitely could see that the MACD is pinching, and I mean begging you to make a weekly higher high, and this thing is going to rip. We do have some divergences possibly present here on the MACD when you were going up, so I definitely would be looking on the MACD to basically have a push up and possibly retrace back downwards if this divergence is confirmed. However, we have to see that this price get way up here into the 400 level or above the swing point of 378. So maybe that 390 target gets hit before this MACD kind of flans out, finishing out the divergence. But you know, anything is possible. Now, if we look at where the price targets are, you are having this price target zone where we are now. But again, MACD hasn't fully crossed bullish, but it hasn't really crossed bearish either. So if we jump over to the daily just to see what our ranges could be, you have a strong buy signal here pushing up. You haven't gotten the exit yet, so definitely could see more continuation. I definitely could probably see it exiting around the 360 to about the 372 level. If we were to push up into this reversal zone, I'd definitely be looking at the 380 to be my top end target, 375 probably be my middle target, and then I start trimming my position in the 365 level. Definitely could see that push up. Like I said, MACD is starting to weaken and basically try to go back to that bullish side. However, it could break down. Basically, if you close below 332.37, that's going to consider a close below the trend, and then the trend would weaken significantly and probably head more downside potential, possibly completing this A to B equals B to C pattern that pushes Netflix down into the 266 level. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that. However, like I said, the market is showing very bullish signs. And what do I mean by that? If we look in the S&P, and for those that stay towards the end of the video, we can clearly see we're in an uptrend. Trend strength is pushing up higher, and you're starting to build that squeeze potential. On top of the MACD is starting to weaken on the S&P 500. Same with the NASDAQ. You're pinching, and I mean the NASDAQ is wanting so badly to cross over. It's just looking for a reason. And now we may not get that reason this week. You have Apple, Microsoft, and Google earnings next week, so it's definitely going to be a spicy one at that, and we could easily get across, or we could go into the end of the week and basically say NASDAQ and S&P want to throw some shorts, so they're just gonna rip up. You know, anything is possible, And the bears are very vocal now of why we have to go down. So that really makes me want to look the other way and see the more bullish side, and definitely see us coming up into, on the S&P or NASDAQ, I should say, up into this 330 level, and then S&P possibly birthing new bull market, 20% off the lows, and getting into that 425, 430 level. Definitely could see more retracement from there, and that push up definitely would be on the lookout for that. Looking for that MACD to top out, creating a divergence. So overall, that's going to be my effective strategy for it. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button, it really helps the YouTube algorithm if you enjoyed the content, and possibly even think about subscribing. We take viewer requested tickers, so throw the ticker down in the description below that you want us to cover, and we'll cover it on Friday in our roundup video. Along with, we're going to be covering Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and AMD in the video in its upcoming earnings, so definitely be on the lookout for those. We try to get as many earnings videos done as possible. So with that, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.